Lots to get to in the final hour. Some visits taken by a quarterback. The A's have made their decision official. And
God bless you.
Ken Barkley's on the line. Let's do it. On the line.
I didn't think I was live. I thought you were introducing me.
We're hot. We're on. We're doing it live. We'll do it live, Ken. We'll do it live.
Glad you didn't fart.
Yeah, that would have been a good fart. Did you see Dan Orlovsky farted on McAfee the other day?
He farted on the show?
Like, not literally on
moment.
him. Yeah, but you can hear him fart in the background. If you want to give us a fart, Ken, we could use a good fart drop, but that's up to you. He's Ken Barkley, the host of You Better You Bet, Audacy Sports Betting Insider, Ken Barkley. Insider calls are presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also, be sure to listen to the You Better You Bet podcast for more Ken Barkley's analysis. Just search You Bet wherever you find your podcasts. We just played deal, kind of deal, no deal on UConn's flight issues for the Final Four. Is there a gambling angle on UConn being sleep deprived?
Ooh, I don't think this is a thing.
Okay, no
I
deal.
think it's not a thing.
We're going no deal.
Yeah, no deal. I'm a no deal on this.
Okay.
There's a really famous. Well, it's not. It's actually not famous at all. But it's famous to me because I remember it. There's a famous NCAA tournament story. You guys actually might remember this. Do you remember Michigan like 8 years ago? They made the NCAA tournament in the first round game. Their plane skidded off the runway. Do you remember this happening at all?
I don't think I remember that. No.
I do not recall that.
Our producer does.
So they were playing Oklahoma State in a first round game, like an 8-9 maybe or something, and their plane skidded off the runway, and then everybody was like, "Oh man, how are they going to respond to having this happen?" And they won. That's how they responded. they won the game. Now, that game is memorable because Oklahoma State. Everybody bet Michigan that was the day of the game because they were much better than the other team. But Oklahoma State hit a meaningless three to backdoor the game with no time left, and everybody. I was in a giant arena of people who all had Michigan, and so but I remember a couple days before the game plane issues. We have this happen in the NBA sometimes where there's a lot of air travel. Something's gonna happen. Nothing bad, but just the maintenance issues or whatever.
Right.
Usually not a huge deal unless they put it this way. If they were playing Purdue for the national championship this afternoon, that would be really bad, right? That'd be a really bad day. Just get there. Purdue's been there already. Maybe Purdue's really good. The game is in 2 days. And they're playing Alabama's good, but they're not Purdue. So I have it as no deal, but hey, if they lose now it's kind of Hurley can just be what the hell? We had to take an Allegiant flight. What's going on there? So I'm no deal yet. That's how I'll call it.
No deal for now.
Of the 4 games that we have in the men and the women's tournament, I'm kind of nervous that we're only going to get one good game of the bunch. I could see both NC State schools getting blown out. UConn, obviously, in the men's side is just dominance right now. Do you have angles for the 4 games? Do you have just 2 angles for maybe the men's side? How is Ken Barkley evaluating the betting? What are you eyeing in a betting standpoint of these 4 games?
Well, it's funny. I don't think the travel is a thing, but I think we know a little bit about Alabama, and what we know about them is that because of their scoring and their ability to drop 100 on anybody, they're kind of live in any game that they play. And this is the mistake a lot of people made against North Carolina, and I was kind of back and forth on that game. What do I want to do? Because on the one hand, I'm well, Carolina's so much better than them. It's just not arguable. They're just way better. But because Alabama in any game can score a billion points, what if they just have a good night? And they're a team that their good night means everybody else loses when they have a good night. There is a volatility to Alabama that's actually really interesting as a UConn opponent. Look, UConn trucks everybody by a billion. I'm not lining up to bet against UConn in every game. I didn't bet Illinois. I'm not thinking about it that way. But just if there was a kind of team that could hang with UConn longer than other teams, it would be a team like Alabama. But the Alabama is also a team that sometimes they're going to lose 100-61. Sometimes that's going to happen because it's just not their night shooting wise. So I think Alabama is I actually could see that being a really fun game for a while. The 11.5's a little interesting to me for that reason. But I think Alabama's interesting in that way. I actually think Purdue is going to absolutely truck NC State though. And we see this all the time. The women's games, I don't have a strong opinion. I bet Iowa against LSU. I also kind of like them against UConn, but like that's me who's watched like 3 games all year.
Right.
Probably like you guys, probably like most people.
Right.
We're just kind of parachuting in, like, all right, where are the good games? Like, let's
talk about it.
Caitlin Clark, like I've been on her forever. I'd be like, well, actually, I just started watching like last week, actually. But Purdue, like, I'm nervous because this is full disclosure. I bet Marquette against NC State. I bet Duke against NC State, and I had Duke to win the region from before the tournament, and that hurt a lot. And I still look at this game, and I just go like, how? Like, how is Purdue not just annihilating this team? But I guess that's the charm and kind of the magic of what NC State's doing right now. To be fair, though, like, I'm going to line up and bet against NC State again. Usually, and you guys, like, you watch enough tournaments, when you get like the great story team. So here's like, Loyola and George Mason and VCU and, like South Carolina made the Final Four. Like these teams where you just go like, how the hell did that happen? Like, I have no idea. Frequently, not only St. Peter's in the Elite Eight a few years ago, not only when they lose, I mean, it's like an unwatchable disaster when they look like everything just unravels all at once, like all the good vibes. I don't think NC State's even been trailing really in most of these games, or if they have, it's by like 5 or 6, like the Duke halftime score. They haven't been down big in any of the games. Like if Purdue's just on them in the first 15 minutes, I kind of feel like this could be a really bad game. So I actually think UConn-Alabama has a chance. There's my hot take. The game with the bigger spread, UConn, I think has a chance to be a lot more fun than Purdue and NC State.
Can I ask you from an entertainment standpoint, do you enjoy watching Purdue play basketball?
I mean, like my co-host Nick, like kind of likens it to an offense that you would run in like 6th grade, where like one of the 6th graders is like had a growth spurt and is way
He's
taller
6 feet
than
tall.
The
Everybody else is 4'7".
Yeah, so it's like, hey, like you're playing like 3-on-3. Like, hey, like what should we do? Probably throw it to Billy. We should probably throw it to him.
I'm open.
He's right, exactly. Well, for him, it'd be like, I'm open. And then everybody else would have like a really high-pitched voice because he's gone through it already. Like he's been there, He's got the acne, he's got everything going. So just like that's kind of Purdue. Now, look, there's more complexity to it. They run a lot of screens to get guys open for threes. This is what killed Gonzaga. So it's not just like give it to Edey, 5 guys around him, who cares? But it's kind of like that, and he never leaves the game. That's the other thing. Like, it's crazy. Like, if I was 7'4", or however tall he is, I would get I get tired now, and I'm 6'1", like walking around the house, jogging, whatever. This guy's on the court. He sat like 40 seconds against Tennessee. He's like the size of like 1.5 me's. Like he's really tall. I kind of don't know how he does it. It's like actually really amazing to think about. Like Donovan Clingan is like the center for UConn. He's awesome. He'll be an NBA lottery pick. Like he's really good, and he like basically beat Illinois single-handedly. He comes out all the time for like 8 minutes. He comes out of the game, and it's when they comes out of the game that's actually been really problematic for them. They haven't played as well. Edey just stays on the court. I mean, it's like you feel like during breaks he's like sneaking a Snickers bar or something to just like make sure he like it's like the Russell Westbrook sandwich meme where he's just like looking off to the side like I'm like let me just eat that. It's like really crazy. So I like watching them play. I mean, they're really good. Like they're I don't know if they're as good as UConn, but they're really close. And if those two teams played, I think it'd be a really fun game. But like, do I think there's a lot of magic in the side? Like, the Warriors with Steph Curry, they invented like all of these different offensive sets. Nobody had ever played basketball like the Golden State Warriors had when they won their first couple titles against Cleveland. Like the elevator screens, Kerr's drawing up all these sets. They don't have a point guard. Draymond runs the offense. Like I liked watching the Warriors, but I still like watching the Warriors play because it's new. This is just like super tall guy and shooters. Like I can figure that out, but it's also unstoppable. So yeah, I mean, like they're fun because they're good. But do I feel like I'm watching something totally new? Not really.
I believe we got a new drop out of that. Let me eat that. I think that needs to be a drop. And thank you, Ken, for proving my point against my idiot co-host who maintains Zach Edey's not athletic. And I'm like, well, he might not be the most
He's
high-end
just tall.
athlete.
His ass is going to be out of the NBA.
He literally
in 4
just made a
years.
great point of why he actually is underrated.
Yeah, he's in good
athletic.
shape. Sure, he can't move though.
He moves
got
enough
him
to be in the game the whole game.
against
for his
6'6"
size, he moves
centers.
pretty good. Yeah, I mean, look, he's not Victor
Playing against Drew
Wembanyama, but,
Timmies
like,
out
okay,
here. Get the hell out of here.
Okay, anyways, I'm
6'8" college centers. He's a foot taller than him. I could dominate my nephew.
I was texting with a Jets fan, which is a very dangerous thing to do in life, and Jets fan is kind of riding high, like, oh, the Jets should be the favorite. And my response was, really? Josh Allen is still the quarterback in Buffalo. They've won 4 straight divisions, and I know the initial reaction was, oh, how dare they trade Stephon Diggs? Production had clearly dropped. They were actually a better team record-wise when his production dropped, and he couldn't make the big catch when they needed to. They moved off a malcontent. I kind of can't wait to fade the Houston Texans next year because everybody's going to be on them, and I kind of can't wait to bet the Buffalo Bills to win the AFC East. Where are you at on the Stephon Diggs Bills, fallout?
I got a couple things for you here. I'll break some news live in Portland. Yeah, I haven't even done this. I don't even think I'm going to do this on the show today. This will be like a little Easter egg for people that listen to all my media appearances. Oh, yeah. I don't want to see this on ESPN's bottom line as like Ken Barkley report, Audacy's Ken Barkley and sources, right? But I got a note from somebody. Here's the way I'll frame it. I got a note from somebody this morning.
Okay.
I got a note from somebody this morning who has been right about a lot of stuff and stuff involving the Bills, like stuff where it's like, wow, like thanks for the heads up. That was like amazing information. I've gotten notes from somebody who fits that description. I got one of those this morning, and it sort of hinted at the idea, not that this is going to happen, and maybe this isn't that surprising, but I was kind of like, well, that's really interesting. And this person who, again, just has been right about a couple things. This is not a report, just a rumor, that the Bills are extremely interested and aggressive about trading a king's ransom to go get Marvin Harrison Jr. in the draft now. And that's like their plan. And I texted that to someone who bets, and I go, I don't even think we can bet this. Like, there's no market for this. Like, nobody even thinks this is going to happen. There's no, like, will Marvin Harrison Jr. go to the Bills, or, like, what will his destination be? I think that might only be opening in, like, one place because everybody thinks it's just going to be one of the teams that's picking, like, 4 or 5 or 6 or a trade. And, like, I texted somebody else, and they go, well, the Bills would have to give up so much. Like, they might have to move to 4.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they might have to trade all the way up to the 4th overall pick to take him. And I go, well, yeah, like, that would require a lot. There's no question. But – like, just think about, even if you're like, well, that rumor makes no sense, I'm disregarding it. Just keep in mind, Sean McDermott is 100% fired if they don't, like, go to the championship game this year, maybe the Super Bowl. Like, he's gone. He was almost gone this year. It's kind of amazing he's not gone already. Like, the clock isn't ticking. It's already 0 on Sean McDermott. So, like, if you're him and you're the Bills organization and you've got Allen in, like, probably what's going to be the best year of his career, like, you can go all in. Like, this is what you're supposed to go all in. That's like kind of what's supposed to happen. It's like what the Rams did when they knew they had a tight window. Like, McDermott's gone. Like, why not go all in for like a transcendent receiver who could be good like year 1 even? So I think, like, even if this person is feeding me a total garbage lie, which to be fair has never happened before, I at least think the Bills are like, look, you're not going to trade Diggs and have no plan. Right? Like, you're not going to be like, let's go into the season with Khalil Shakir as our number 1 receiver. You're not going to do that. I think that would be really interesting. Like, would they pay the king's ransom to whatever it costs to go get Harrison?
Barkley Bob.
As you were doing that, I opened up my gambling app, and I was trying to
You
find
laid a bet, didn't you?
You can't gamble. You can gamble on some
degenerate
teams,
son of
like
a
the
bitch.
specific teams to draft certain players, but Harrison's not on there for
but
some reason.
real quick on that, like, that would track with what they did, right? Whether that's Harrison Jr. or Odunze, them moving into that spot to get one of these neighbors maybe. I think that tracks because we also had Arizona's general manager, like, I think a week ago, basically say, our phones are open. Like, and Harrison Jr.,
Right.
Arizona thing's kind of been locked for a lot of people, but he kind of came out and said, if you give me a phone call, we're pretty terrible. I'll take the phone call.
Right. Well, and remember what they did last year. Like, they got, lauded with praise because the perception was they fleeced Houston for Houston to get both 2 and 3. It just so happened that although I still think that trade was nuts for Houston, they just happened to hit the jackpot on both picks. I mean, they literally had the offensive and defensive rookies of the year at 2 and 3. Like, if they're not the rookies of the year, it's a terrible trade. They just happened to strike gold twice. I guess great job by them. They must have really loved both players. But Arizona, this was them last year, open for business. Now, last year, Kyler was going to be hurt and not play most of the season. This year, the design might be well, no, we actually want to try to win a little bit this year. So I don't know if they would just trade down for sure, but yeah, they're at least telling you, it's at least a possibility. We've seen them do it before. Now the question is just, would it be the Bills going there? Would it be? I think the perception is that's the Vikings from McCarthy is what that trade would be to go to 4 with the idea he would even still be available. So I think there's a lot of moving parts here, right? But I just thought that was interesting, and it doesn't have to be true, but it does kind of track with what would make sense, I guess, for a lot of the teams involved.
God, it felt good to talk football.
I tweeted that out, by the way. I hope that's going to go super viral. Thousands of retweets.
According to Ken Barkley, our NFL insider. And he joins us every Thursday. He's the host of You Better You Bet, Audacy Sports Betting Insider, Ken Barkley. They're presented by BetMGM. Go check out all the latest lines today on the BetMGM app. Also be sure to give him a follow on Twitter at Lockie Lockerson. Did I see a like of the show tweet, Ken? Did I see a like on there?
So can I tell you how much time do I have?
You got as much time as you
want,
dude.
We're
way
time
over
thing,
it.
so
Our
just
producer's pissed. Go ahead. Just go as long as you want.
6 o'clock Eastern.
Yeah.
So until my story gets reported on NFL Live later today. So I deleted Twitter off my phone a week ago as an experiment. And I was I'm only going to use Twitter when I'm sitting at my computer. I'll open it up to promote the show or do whatever. I'm not going to So I've basically been not on Twitter for a week. It's been one of the great weeks of my life. Yeah. It's been amazing. But I was on at the computer earlier today, and I was you know what? And this happens now that I'm not on Twitter at all. Now I'm I kind of want to engage. The 30 seconds that I'm logged in, I'm kind of let me like some stuff. Let me write a response to somebody. So now I'm only on for 30 seconds. You got more likes than you got before that. This is a great new era.
We're making progress. I thought you were going to say it was a mistake, a fat thumb kind of thing, a wrong button got pressed. I'm just glad that it was a purposeful like.
Some conspiracy theories.
Right.
Hey, God, I like that instead. Yeah.
Ken, just because our producer teased it and we're way over, so it's just got to be a name. The name right now, Ken Barkley wants to bet at the Masters right now. We'll talk to you next week, but right now, if you could bet it, who is it?
Whoever wins the Live tournament this weekend.
All right. Okay. Little Live.
I'm not even joking.
Okay.
Rom, Koepka, whoever. Yeah.
Okay.
Patty Reed.
Well, hey, have fun watching the Final Four this weekend. I look forward to chatting next Thursday as the Masters tees off. We always enjoy it. Thanks, Ken.
All right, sounds good, guys.
There you go. Ken Barkley,